Tonight, a neighbor says there seemed to be no sign of trouble when it came to the couple found dead in their home. More cases of COVID-19 are confirmed, and Barbados is officially out of St. Lucia's updated travel bubble. The details of these stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News for today, Tuesday, the 12th of January, 2021. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. 2 individuals were found dead in their Tiroche Castries home on Monday, the 11th of January. Police have since identified the victims as 65-year-old Egyptian Montlouis and her husband, 77-year-old Peter Anthony. Our team visited the scene and spoke to a close friend of the couple who expressed shock about the incident and said from all indications the couple appeared to be very happy and very much in love.
On Monday afternoon, a husband and wife were found dead in their dwelling house at Tiroche. Hot 7 visited the scene and spoke to a close friend of the deceased who said this grim discovery has left the entire community in shock.
Well, I was shocked, very much shocked, you know. I heard that, they call her Lucien, I heard that Lucien died in her house together with her husband, you know. And then that's all I heard, you know. I couldn't, you know, conceive this, you know. However, I came up here this morning, and to where this happened is very unfortunate.
On Tuesday morning, Superintendent with responsibility for crime management in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, George Nicholas, provided details on the matter.
Police found the body of 65-year-old Egyptian Montlouis motionless in her house with apparent physical injuries about the head. Also, her husband, 77-year-old Peter Anthony, was also found motionless in the house. A medical practitioner was summoned to the scene who pronounced both bodies dead at the scene. A post-mortem is scheduled for a later date to ascertain the cause of death.
There has been much speculation about the circumstances surrounding the deaths of the 2 individuals. The friend of the deceased, Paul Henry, says the theories swirling are strange to his mind, given that the couple he knew never exhibited any issues in public.
I could say these people were really in love and things, you know. They cannot disclose anything about this. I heard that, you know, things was a little rough then, you know, at this time. But when I know them, I know they were always together. You know, people used to talk about these 2 people always stick up together, walking together. When you see her, you see him, you know, and then probably things turn different, upside down, you know. And I don't know, I cannot tell exactly what took place there, you know. But I hope, you know, whoever doctors, scientists, you know, get into the root of it.
Paul explains that Montlouis was a very hard worker and was well known for her generosity.
This lady was nice, you know. Lucien, she would be at a distance and you would know that she's there because of her laugh, you know, her joke, and she would say it as it is, you know. Sometimes we have to tell the children, move a little distance, because she would say it as it is, man. She wouldn't keep back anything. She works very hard, I'm telling you. She's a hustler. The last time I saw her was at the marketplace with her husband, you know, and she always dropped something, you know, a little dashing, a little breadfruit, something, you know, for my mother, you know, and this took my mother very hard, you know. And my mother, you know, I mean, she just cannot understand herself. That was her best friend, man.
Henry says this community is not known for such violent acts. Reporting from the community of Tiroche for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
National Security Minister Herman Gill Francis has called for all hands on deck as the island seeks to reduce its crime rate. The minister says that the police cannot do it alone and has called for the public to play their part like they did in the past.
While overall crime has decreased by some 20% in St. Lucia, the National Security Minister says it is not enough to bring law and order in the country. Herman Gill Francis says that in 2021, the public has a critical role to play in helping law enforcement to tackle crime. He says that since the imposition of the Leahy law in St. Lucia following Operation Restore Confidence in 2010-2011, St. Lucian police have not been able to get the much-needed training which is required for crime fighting.
The last senior officer went to the Federal Bureau of Investigation to do a course which every superintendent in the Caribbean does as a prerequisite for further promotion. Was Mr. Fridges. And that's in 2000, that's almost 9-10 years ago. And so we have a cadre of officers in the police force here, from commissioner down to the assistant commissioner. None of them have done it. Okay, we used to go to England. Okay, Mr. Regis went to Bramshill and I went to Hendon. Okay, these courses are not available to our young officers now. And so when we put pressure on the police, you know, people have to understand that they are not as trained or as savvy as they're supposed to be.
He says the gap must be bridged between the public and police if the country is to see significant gains in its crime-fighting efforts. He says until that has been restored, no amount of tactics will be able to gain confidence in the police force.
In the olden days, in the place of Mr. Cyril, Kim Louis, and those individuals, what we had was a public support. So anything that happened, the public had trust in the police officers. So they went to you and they would give you the information. That has broken down now. That somebody would tell you that I'm not going to give a police officer information because before I tell that police officer that, somebody would know that I was the one who did it. And that is where the police hierarchy has to come in to try to bridge that gap between the public and the police. The police cannot do it on their own. And what the public must understand, that if the police are not successful in dealing with maintaining the crime levels, then everybody's in danger.
Already for 2021, St. Lucia has recorded 3 homicides. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Thank you, Nisha. Now, as of today, Tuesday, the 12th of January, the Ministry of Health announced 12 new cases of COVID-19. This brings the number of cases diagnosed in country so far to 490.
All the 12 cases are St. Lucia nationals ranging in age from 11 years to 55 years. 3 are from the Babonneau district, 4 from the Gros Islet district, and 5 from the Castries district. The Ministry of Health also reported 1 recovery for today, January 12, 2021. There are currently 170 active cases, all being stable and none requiring critical care. The Ministry of Health cautions the public that given the rate of increase in confirmed COVID-19 cases over the past few days, our personal choices and actions in protecting ourselves and our loved ones need to be closely monitored and managed. We can overcome COVID-19, but this will be if we keep at the forefront in our minds the actions which keep us all safe. Our collective commitment to the infection prevention guidelines can reduce COVID-19 infections.
As of the 12th of January 2021, the following countries form part of St. Lucia's Caribbean travel bubble: Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Effective the 12th of January, all people from outside of this updated Caribbean bubble will be required to present a negative COVID-19 PCR test result 7 days prior to travel and complete a mandatory 14 days of quarantine. All arriving passengers from destinations within the bubble will be exempt from the 14 days of quarantine if presenting with a negative COVID-19 PCR test 7 days prior to travel.
Now, travelers from the bubble are reminded to ensure that they register their travel at www.stlucia.org/COVID-19 and print the automated response that will be generated from that submission. They are also required to produce a COVID-19 negative PCR test within 7 days of travel into St. Lucia. Now, anyone originating from the bubble meeting these requirements will be exempt from the 14-day quarantine period.
That was the PR manager of the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, Doreen Georges. All arriving passengers from within the bubble must have traveled directly or been in transit for less than 24 hours from a country within the bubble and have been in that country for at least 21 days. All arriving passengers from within the bubble who have been in transit in a country outside of the bubble will be subjected to 14 days of quarantine. or returning nationals from destinations outside the bubble will be subject to 14 days of quarantine. All non-national arriving passengers from destinations outside the bubble will be accommodated at a COVID-19 approved accommodation site. These policies have been updated since the September 2020 policy and have been guided by OECS recommendations. The UK government has confirmed that mandatory pre-departure testing for all inbound passengers to England will come into force from Friday, the 15th of January 2021 as an added measure to safeguard public health against COVID-19 and its variants. A limited exemption has been granted until Thursday, the 21st of January, to help Britons in Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, and St. Lucia return home. Persons arriving into England from these three islands on the 21st of January onward will be required to comply in full with the new requirements. Visitors are strongly encouraged to use this time to review and clarify their plans for return to England. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, Stanley Felix's scathing review of Sarah Flood-Bobre's tenure as Castries Central MP. Are tensions high among the SLP hopefuls for the Castries Central seat? And the local reaction to a shark attack in St. Kitts and Nevis.